Calling all Space Rangers, it's time to go infinity and beyond. First airing in 2000, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command was a spin-off of Toy Story that followed Buzz and a team of new characters in their quest to protect the galaxy from evil. Throughout their adventures, they encounter everything from vampiric robots to the evil Emperor Zurg. The show was notable for expanding the universe of the character the Buzz Lightyear toy was based on. It was also another show brought to us by McCorkle and Bob Schooley, the same minds behind Kim Possible and the Penguins of Madagascar. With the upcoming film Lightyear looking to tell its own version of this backstory, the time seems right to look back at this overlooked classic. Of the show's colorful cast of heroes and villains, which ones are deserving of the rank of Space Ranger, and which ones need another semester in the academy? Hey guys, I'm Brad with Wicked Binge, and this is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Good to evil. As usual, we'll be starting off today's list with the most good characters, and then working our way down towards the most evil. These characters are good. In first place, for the gold medal of good, is Buzz Lightyear. The most revered space ranger of them all, this Buzz is every bit the hero the action figure from the films thought he was. He's a space ranger all others aspire to be, including those that make up his team. Buzz is skilled, courageous, and ever vigilant, a fact that even the intro of the series makes note of. He's received numerous awards for his heroism, and wrote many of the regulations listed in the Star Command manual. While Buzz may seem like the perfect hero, he has flaws. Buzz has an ego. After he loses his partner, Buzz refuses to take on any new recruits, no matter how skilled they are. It takes him nearly the entire pilot movie to realize that he works better with a team. He can also be obsessed when it comes to protocols and procedures. Just take a drink every time you hear him bring up the Star Command manual. He also lacks common sense at times, a trait that seems to carry over to all of Patrick Warburton voice characters. Overall, Buzz more than lives up to the legend. He saved the galaxy from evil time and time again. Probably his most heroic feat is when he repaired the Unimind by himself. Even his desire to work alone comes from a noble cause, as he doesn't want to lead anyone else to their demise. Buzz Lightyear is easily the greatest hero in this galaxy. Chris Evans has got a big spacesuit to fill. In second place for the silver medal of good is Mira Nova. Mira is the most level-headed space ranger. Of the four characters that make up the core cast, she definitely feels the most like an average person. This can give her a better approach to missions than her teammates, who are more cartoonish. She's also a rookie when we first meet her, so she brings a much-needed sense of youth to the group. Her skills on the battlefield are also a great asset to the team. Mira possesses the ability to phase through walls, which got her and the team out of many sticky situations. You also gotta give her credit where it's due. Despite being a relatively new recruit, she's able to keep up with a seasoned veteran like Buzz. If that isn't impressive, we don't know what is. Mira is also compassionate, a trait best seen when she deals with her homeworld. On her planet, there live two races. The first of these are the Tangian, who reside in the sky, and below them are the Grounders. Nova wishes to unite the two groups when she becomes queen, and even fell in love with a Grounder, much to her father's chagrin. Mira Nova is easily the most well-rounded of the Space Rangers. The only reason she doesn't get our gold medal is because Buzz is just that heroic, but we don't think anyone would make a better partner than this princess. The bronze medal of good goes to Booster Munchapper. It should come as no surprise that Buzz Lightyear has his fans. Booster is the poster boy for those fans. A janitor at Star Command, Booster knows everything there is to know about Buzz and is dazzled whenever he's in his presence. Booster wants to become a space ranger, and when Buzz leaves on a mission to stop Emperor Zurg, he gets his chance. Though he joins the mission without Buzz's approval, he proves he has the makings of a space ranger after capturing the villain Warp Dark Matter. In the show, Booster can be considered the heart of the team. He's sweet and kind to others, with him rarely ever being angry. Don't let his heart fool you. When push comes to shove, Booster may be the strongest member of the team. He can easily dispatch enemies with sheer strength, while other Space Rangers rely on the gadgets built into their suits. Booster isn't perfect. Of the main characters, he's probably the least intelligent. Let's not forget the whole reason he became a Space Ranger was because he accidentally stowed away on Buzz's ship during an important mission. He's also naive. He doesn't pick up when others are using sarcasm. He's the most sheepish member too. often worrying about what could go wrong during whatever mission of the week. Though he has a tendency to worry and cause trouble, he always means well. Booster might not be the hero that characters like Buzz and Mira are, but his strength and heart make him just as deserving of the title of Space Ranger. Next is the Little Green Men. Yes, that is what they're called. The Little Green Men, often abbreviated as the LGM, are the glue that holds Star Command together. They're the minds behind all the technology the organization uses, and they even guide Buzz and friends on various missions. With the power of the Unimind, every one of them can share their thoughts with each other. While the LGMs are intelligent and devoted to the cause of Star Command, there are a few reasons we rank them lower than some of their companions. To start off, they aren't combative. In a combat scenario, it becomes hard to see these guys as anything but moving targets. Their reliance on the Unimind is another drawback. While it gives them great abilities when in use, when it's gone, they are left disoriented. It kinda hurts their reputation as a glue to Star Command when they have to rely on an orb to keep them running. Besides those issues, these little guys are just as loyal and hardworking as their predecessors. Sometimes they actually take a more active role in the plot. When the independent thinker was kidnapped, they teamed with Buzz's crew to rescue him. In conclusion, the LGM may have their flaws, but their vital role in Star Command is enough in our eyes to keep them in the top 5. Next is Commander Nebula. The founder of Star Command, Nebula is respected just as much as Buzz Lightyear. Even Buzz looks up to him, which further proves how big of a deal he is. Nebula is your typical hot-tempered commander. He has a zero-tolerance policy for nonsense and makes sure everybody knows it. He spends most of his days behind a desk doing paperwork, much to his displeasure. He usually signs off on anything that reaches his desk. While this doesn't always end in disaster, it did give way to the robot XL, who terrorized Team Lightyear on several missions. His role in creating one of Buzz's most recurring foes is enough to put him here, but Nebula luckily has enough to keep him from getting a lower spot on the list. Even in his old age, Nebula will help out on missions when the need arises. For a long time, he was responsible for taking defected henchmen of Zurg's into the Galactic Alliance. He went undercover as the bounty hunter Shiv Katal to do this, and Zurg never caught on to it. We also have to give him credit for running Star Command and creating the organization. Without him, there would be no Buzz Lightyear. Though he can be grouchy and lazy with his paperwork, Commander Nebula is very compassionate to his allies. You get the sense that these people are his family, and he will help them through anything. Commander Nebula is one of the most crucial figures in Star Command and is absolutely deserving of this spot on our list. However, if you happen to be a robot, we recommend staying out of his way. Finishing off the good category, we have XR. Created with the main goal of being Buzz's new partner, XR found a home in the team. While he was an emotionless robot at first, his destruction during his first mission caused him to be rebuilt into a quirkier robot. While Buzz may be the ideal Space Ranger, XR is anything but. For starters, he is a womanizer. XR will hit on any woman he comes in contact with, though they never return his feelings. He's also a scam artist, always looking to make some money on the side. He's probably the most incompetent member of Team Lightyear too. How many times does he get blown up? On paper, XR seems to be the worst possible Space Ranger. However, he's still somehow a great addition to his team. He has an impressive arsenal of weapons, making him the best member in terms of weaponry. While he has a lot of negative traits, he still wants to be every bit the hero any other member of Star Command does. He's obsessed with pleasing Commander Nebula, who he views as a father. XR has also helped the group out of some dire straits, showing that he's definitely capable of being a great Space Ranger. His encounters with his brother, XL, showcase him at his most heroic. XR is a fitting character to wrap up the good tier. He has a lot of bad attributes, but he's still devoted to the cause of good. That does it for the good tier. Now we move towards the characters who aren't good, but aren't bad either. This is the gray area. Starting us off, we have Ty Parsec. Ty has a reputation for repeatedly getting into trouble. He always seems to be needing Buzz's help, and he's not happy about being stuck in his shadow. While most of the other Space Rangers on this list are strong-willed, Ty is more cynical. He hates being on missions with Buzz and sees him as overhyped. His tendency to get into trouble is what also leads to his transformation into the villainous Wirewolf. After a battle with NOS-482 that exposed him to radioactive energy from a moon. In this form, Parsec is dangerous, becoming a monster that will attack his allies. Parsec is cured of the curse, but that doesn't stop him from becoming the monster again in a later episode. If this happens to you twice, can you really be mad about the reputation you have? While Tai is frequently moody and in need of saving, he does have his heroic accomplishments. Most notably, he destroyed NOS4A2 for good after his second transformation. Overall, Tai Parsec is a mixed bag. He has his moments of heroism, but the way trouble follows him, coupled with his not-so-heroic personality, prompts us to put him in the gray area. And yeah, still in Buzz's shadow. Next is XR's big brother, XL. This Bobcat Goldthwait voice robot was the Little Green Men's first attempt at a robotic ranger. Unfortunately for them, the robot was unstable upon activation, forcing them to lock him away in storage. Sometime later, Emperor Zurg learned of his existence and reactivated him. Now, XL is hungry for vengeance against Star Command for throwing him to the curb. XL is, unsurprisingly, an evil foil to XR. Both robots are oddball characters who want to please their father, but XL goes about it in all the wrong ways. He loves committing crimes, most of which are done to help him upgrade his body. The only thing that outweighs his love of crime is his hatred for his father, Nebula, and little brother, XR. In one of his more nefarious schemes, XL actually posed as XR and went undercover with the main goal of destroying Star Command Station with a bomb. The plan was foiled, but it shows you how dangerous he can be. XL, however, is not nearly as evil as he could be. Being the brother of XR, XL is just as foolish as he is. He may actually be dumber, considering how often he loses to him. The main reason we placed XL here, though, is because he ultimately redeems himself. After helping NOS4A2 take over Planet Z, XL began to have his doubts. XL eventually helps Team Lightyear defeat NOS4A2, quickly joining Star Command afterwards as their resident copy machine. Hey, it might not be the most dignifying job, but it sure pays better than villainy. XL is all over the place as a character, even more so than his brother. As a result, we cannot see him being anywhere else but in the gray area. Wrapping up the gray area is Torque. Torque is little more than your common criminal. He's wanted all over the galaxy, with his crimes ranging from arson to not paying his parking tickets. However, there is one thing that separates him from most thugs. After a meeting with Emperor Zurg, he was granted a device that allows him to create copies of himself. He's a tricky opponent, like when he captured Team Lightyear after acquiring the device. While he will always be thrown in jail, that doesn't make him any less dangerous. One episode even saw him brainwash Buzz into becoming a criminal. While Torque is definitely the most evil character on the list so far, we don't feel he's nearly as evil as those to come. He's a criminal, not an intergalactic overlord or anything like that. He doesn't want to conquer planets or rule over people. He just wants to get back at Buzz for throwing him in jail. He's the lowest villain on the food chain, which is evidenced by how often other villains use him as a minion. Torque is not to be messed with, but his simple desires of revenge and troublemaking are what ultimately prevents us from calling him evil. Plus, he did save the day once. Okay, he was brainwashed, but that counts for something. Move out of the way, gray area. We move on to individuals who are at the top of Star Command's most wanted. These characters are evil. First, we have Warp Dark Matter. Warp, otherwise known as Agent Z, was Buzz's partner prior to the events of the series. In the pilot movie, Warp is caught in an explosion and believed to have died. However, that was a cover-up. Since the beginning, Warp had been working as a double agent for Emperor Zurg. He'd been feeding Zurg intel about Star Command for years after receiving a bribe, and the explosion served as a perfect cover to reveal his true self. Warp is also responsible for Zurg's discovery of the Unimind. As Agent Z, Warp is one of Zurg's greatest henchmen. He has no true motivation for being evil, other than finding it fun. Though Warp Dark Matter is a dangerous foe and a great ally to Emperor Zurg, there are glimmers of good to him. In one episode, he actually saves Buzz from impending doom. Another episode saw him let Buzz go, which Zurg was not too pleased by. It appears that Warp has some respect for his old partner. This feeling is also reciprocated by Buzz, who hopes Warp will one day fight by his side again. Warp loves to be evil, and for that, we place him here. However, his more noble moments and overall role as a henchman force us to rank him lower than other villains in the series. We'll give him one thing though. He knows Agent Z is a stupid name. Next is the Mistress of Gravity, Gravitina, an alien with the power to control gravity. Gravitina's large head was the butt of many jokes growing up. This eventually led her to become a villain, and one of Star Command's most dangerous. Gravitina is infatuated with Buzz Lightyear, whom she develops a crush on. She will do anything to get him to feel the same, no matter how dangerous it may be. Later, she teams up with an evil Buzz from an alternate dimension, and the two use solar flares to destroy Star Command. Though her plans are foiled, it proves that she is a powerful adversary. In fact, Gravitina may be the most dangerous character in the show in terms of abilities. Unfortunately, Gravitina isn't the best at using her powers. She doesn't have a total grasp on her abilities, which becomes a problem for her. This is one of the two reasons we rank her lower than some of her comrades. The other reason is because of her motive. She isn't interested in destroying planets or ruling the galaxy. Gravitina craves love, but goes after it in evil ways. When you compare that to other characters on this list, even some before her, she doesn't compare. A word of wisdom to Gravitina: get on the dating apps, start swiping. The bronze medal of evil goes to NOS4A2. As you can probably guess by his name, this villain is as much a vampire as he is a robot. NOS4A2 feeds off the energy of other robots and can put them under his control. NOS4A2 cemented himself as one of Star Command's greatest foes. In his debut episode, he defeats Team Lightyear. He's responsible for turning Ty Parsec into the dreaded Wirewolf. NOS4A2's greatest moment of villainy is overthrowing Zurg as the ruler of Planet C, with a little help from XL. He then puts a plan into action that turns almost everyone in the galaxy into wirewolves. He also comes very close to killing Buzz. Ultimately, NOS4A2 is destroyed by Ty Parsec, being the only character to be killed off in the series. We think that fact is telling of his character. NOS4A2 was such a cunning opponent that Star Command simply had to destroy him. NOS4A2 is one of the greatest opponents that a Space Ranger could ever face. The silver medal of evil goes to Emperor Zurg. Zurg is Buzz Lightyear's greatest enemy. Zurg is motivated by a desire to rule the galaxy, and he will do anything in the name of evil. If he finds a way to terrorize the universe, he will probably do it. In terms of power, Zurg has various minions under his control. Aside from those we've covered like Warp and NOS4A2, Zurg has a powerful robot army at his disposal. He also possesses scientists known as the Brain Pods, and his own version of the LGM, the Grubs. Emperor Zurg isn't everything he's cracked up to be, however. He's a fool, as well as a source of a lot of humor. He's no stranger to being double-crossed by his own followers. May we remind you what happened with NOS4A2? Zurg has far more losses than victories. If he's the main antagonist of an episode, there's a good chance he'll end the episode shouting, "Curse you, Buzz Lightyear."
Curse you, Buzz Lightyear!
Don't let his flaws fool you though. Zurg doesn't stay down for long, and he'll try to defeat Buzz Lightyear for as long as he draws breath. Zurg has notable victories too. He leads a large empire that covers many planets. In the pilot movie, his minions nearly defeated Buzz, and likely would have if his new partners didn't arrive in time. He was also able to corrupt the Unimind with a touch of his hand, turning it into a mind control device that corrupted almost everyone in the galaxy. This is a stark contrast to Buzz, who was able to fix the device with as much ease as Zurg did to corrupt it. Emperor Zurg may be comic relief, but there's a reason the citizens of the galaxy see him as the worst of the worst. So, who could be worse than him? How about a villain from an entirely different universe? That brings us to the gold medal of evil, evil Buzz Lightyear. It shouldn't be that much of a surprise. If the good Buzz was the greatest hero, it makes sense that his evil counterpart would be the worst villain. This evil version of Buzz hails from a universe where everything is flipped. Instead of being a heroic space ranger, this Buzz is the emperor of the galaxy and rules with an iron fist. He's also got a goatee, so you know he's bad. Evil Buzz Lightyear is the most serious of all the show's villains. While someone like Zurg is a source of jokes, Evil Buzz has no time for any of that. He may also be the only villain with a body count, as his universe's version of Mira mentions that he killed her father, King Nova. He doesn't care for any life forms, a trait best shown when he encouraged Gravitina to hurl solar flares at any and all places in the galaxy. While he teams with characters like Gravitina and Zurg, he will gladly betray them to save his own skin. While he's defeated in his few appearances in the show, his drive to conquer and destroy leaves the heroes well aware that it's only a matter of time before he makes another attempt to take over the galaxy. With all that in mind, we think there's no better place for Buzz's evil counterpart than this spot. Before we put this one in our report, let's give out a few medals. First is the Darwin Medal, which we're giving to Commander Nebula. I mean, can you really argue otherwise when he signs off on every bit of paperwork that reaches his desk? Second is the Pride Medal, which goes to Emperor Zurg. If there's anyone on this list who sees everyone else as below him, it's definitely Zurg. We're giving the Wrath Medal to evil Buzz Lightyear. His reputation as a murdering, power-hungry conqueror easily gets him this one. The Lust Medal goes to Gravitina. Alright, let's not forget that everything she does is to get Buzz to fall in love with her. We feel that XR deserves the Sloth Medal more than anyone else. Though he could have definitely gotten many of these, we feel laziness is the only category that somebody else didn't beat him in. The Envy Medal goes to Ty Parsec. I mean, he is tired of being in Buzz's shadow. Last but certainly not least, we're giving the Greed Medal to Warp Dark Matter. His willingness to accept a bribe from Zurg shows his eagerness to make a fast buck. Alright, it is done. Let us know in the comments section if you agree with our ranking, and tell us what we should cover next. Remember to hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite cartoons, shows, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.